Hello, I'm Jose with FrSky North America. In today's video, we're going to go over updating our system to the latest 1.6 version of firmware. Since this is a major release, it is really important to update Ethos Suite, your transmitter, and your receivers. It may also be a good time to update your sensors as well. We will go over the process all the way through and also introduce you to the new Ethos Suite. Ethos Suite has a lot of new features, and while we go over the firmware updates, we will also take a look at some of the new features of Ethos Suite. Guys, this is going to be a long one. I'll break down this video into chapters so you can just go to the section that you need. What is Ethos Suite? Ethos Suite is an app on your computer that simplifies updating your radio, receivers, sensors, and other FrSky devices. You can also use it to manage sounds and picture files, and you can also back up your radio. There are two methods of getting the newest version of Ethos Suite: installing or updating. If you already have Ethos Suite, simply opening up Ethos Suite on your computer should prompt you to update. However, on very old versions of Ethos Suite, it may not inform you about the latest update. In that case, best practice would be to uninstall the previous version and do a fresh install. In this case, I have a fairly recent version of Ethos Suite. I'll go ahead and open it up, and the update notice should appear, and there it is. So all you'd have to do is go over here to Go to Update, and when you hit Go to Update, all it did was move you over to here, the Suite settings, and this is the update area for Ethos Suite. So you have a couple of options over here: GitHub or the FrSky server. GitHub is probably updated first, but very soon afterwards, the FrSky server should be updated, so it honestly doesn't matter. But over here it says new version available, Suite 1.60. And then you just go down here, download the updater. Once that's done, over here, install the update. I'm not going to do it, but that's all you have to do to update Ethos Suite. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that this is a very old version of Ethos Suite that did not give me the option to update inside Ethos Suite. So I'm going to go through the steps of doing that. And what I'd want to do is I'm going to go down here to my search bar, do a search for Ethos Suite. I'm going to right-click on it and uninstall it. That takes me over here to my Add and Remove Programs. I'll scroll down to Ethos Suite over here, and over here, I'll go ahead and uninstall. Do you want to allow this app from unknown publisher to make changes? Yes. Let's click yes. Okay, and uninstall. Completing and finish. So at this point, it's sort of like a fresh install. So if you've never done an install of Ethos Suite, this is all you have to do. Go to your Google, type in Ethos, and it's already up there, but .FrSky-RC.com. Down here is Ethos Suite, and now we have the Windows or the Mac version. Mine is Windows, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it is downloading. My internet's really slow. I'll fast forward through this. Okay, the download is complete. And all you need to do is go over here to the download icon and open it. So if you get this notice over here, and Apple Mac computers may also have their version of this, but for Windows, you click on More Info over here and Run Anyways. Do you want to allow this app from an unknown publisher to make changes to your device? And just click yes. And here is the license agreement. Agree to it. And that's where it's going to be installed. Go ahead and click install. And finish with that clicked on will also run Ethos Suite for the first time. And there you go. Now, if you want to confirm that you have the latest version, first of all, up here it says Ethos Suite 1.60. But also down here, and notice that no pop-up came up that said that you needed to update, but you can go down here and you see that the update is updated. So we are on the latest version of software. Okay, so now that Ethos Suite is updated, let's go through the process of updating your transmitter. Okay, before we update, let's go ahead and open up Ethos Suite and take a look at the new Radio Information tab. Now it says radio is not detected, so let's go ahead and plug in the radio to your computer. If you have this message come up, just choose Ethos Suite. And your drives populate. I'm going to go ahead and close those and take a look over here. So they also tell you that you should update your transmitter here. So you can just go to the update, but in this case, I'm going to dismiss it because I want to take a look at the radio information page. And if you get that, you just need to refresh it. So I'm going to get out of it, get back into it, and there it goes. So this radio information page is a nice summary page of all the items inside Ethos Suite. It shows you that you are out of date for your firmware version, your bootloader version is up to date, and your module is out of date. The RF module is the internal RF module that actually communicates with your receiver. This over here is the firmware that your transmitter runs on. And over here, we've got a couple of other items too. This is Model Manager. This is where you back up your models. LUA Library is if you want to download new LUA scripts. And the Download Center is where you download firmware for your sensors and your receivers. So in this case, let's go ahead and start the update process. The first thing that you want to do is go to Model Manager and back up your transmitter. So I'm going to go over here. Now what I did was I created under Documents a folder called X20R, which is what this radio is. And you can navigate by going here to the folder icon. And I am in that folder right now. So Documents X20R. But if I needed to create one, I can just go over to Documents over here, and I can go right-click anywhere in here and create a new folder. But in this case, I already have one, so I'm going to go down here to X20R and select that folder. The next thing that you want to do is go ahead and back up. And this is what you want to back up. The default is audio off. So if you don't have any custom audio files, this is fine. But if you do have custom audio files, go ahead and click that as well, so that it'll save your audio files. In this case, I'm going to not click that, and I'm going to go ahead and hit backup. There it is. Backup is complete. The next thing that you want to do, let's go back to radio information, is I noticed that the RF module is out of date. You can try to update the firmware on your transmitter first, but it will tell you to update the RF module. So let's go ahead and do that. So the RF module over here, you go to Manage Internal Module. If I click on that, that'll essentially just go to this menu, but let's go ahead and click on it. And there it is. So now we're in that menu. And just make sure that you're on the latest. Scroll down and do a flash module. So it reset the radio, so the file The radio file appeared again, so I'm just going to go ahead and close it. And the .FrSky has been flashed successfully. Okay, and look at this warning over here. Please ensure that the firmware of the receivers used with this RF module is also upgraded to version 3 or above. So this update updates the internal RF module of the transmitter. The receivers communicate directly with that RF module, so it's very important to do those updates as well. So I'm going to close this warning. And now I'm going to go back to radio information and take a look. My module is now updated. The next thing that I want to do is I want to go ahead and update firmware version 1.518 to 1.60. And so then you click on the Manage Ethos icon. But this over here essentially goes to here, to Ethos. But I'm going to go ahead and click there, and you'll see that it goes there. So obviously I want stable branch. I don't want any pre-release or beta software. And click on this to confirm that you're at the latest version. Display language is English. Audio language is English for me. And all you need to do is come down here and do a write updated components and click the download. It is recommended that you back up. We already did the backup, so let's continue updating. It reset the transmitter, so I'm going to go ahead and close these out so I can see what's happening here. And now it is writing firmware. Okay, update is successful. I'm going to close that. And there we go. We're up to firmware version 1.6.0. Bootloader is up to date. And internal storage, audio English, is up to date. So we are now up to date in the transmitter. Let's go ahead and confirm on the transmitter that the update is there. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the USB cable, and it's always good practice to go ahead and eject the flash drives. Safe to remove, that's the D drive. Let's do one more. And eject the radio drive. There it goes. Okay, now I can go ahead and disconnect my cable, turn it off, and turn it back on.
Sticks are not calibrated.
If you did a major update, this may happen. So it looks like we have to calibrate the sticks. So I'm going to go ahead and go over there to calibrate and hit the enter button. Center the sticks, including this. And next. Okay. Move the sticks, pot sliders to the full range. You want to go all the way to the edges, but you don't want to slam it. Up, down. Next. Calibration complete. Confirm to store it. And they want you to do a gyro calibration if your radio has an internal gyro. So have it level. Click next. Move to the left. And click next. Move to the right. Click next. Tilt nose up. And tilt nose down. Calibration complete. Confirm to store it.
Welcome to Ethos. Throttle not idle. Switch warning.
All right. So I'm going to go over here to System. I'm going to go to Info just to confirm. And if you look over here, we're Ethos 1.6.0 FCC, because this radio was FCC. And that's it. We are updated. The next thing I'm going to do is update the LUA library. So the LUA library inside Ethos Suite contains all the Lua scripts that FrSky has developed. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up again. Make sure that I'm in Ethos Suite. The drives up here, I'll go ahead and close them. And I'm going to go to Lua library. So all of these scripts over here are FrSky developed scripts. Now, right now it says remote library, and what that means is this is the stuff that is not installed into your radio right now. Let's go ahead and install the stabilizer config. This stabilizer config is for stabilized versions of the TD and TW series of receivers. It also works for Archer Plus receivers. All other receivers, the older ACCST and the older Archer series, are done with an internal script that is already in the firmware. So let's go ahead and download that to install it. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually install it. And it's done. Now, once you've installed one of these scripts, I'm going to go ahead and close this. You notice that now it says radio scripts. These are the ones that are installed into your radio. So if I need any more, so if I have any ESCs, I can install that as well, an RB25 or an RB35S, and anything else that I need. But in this particular case, all I want is that. So that's it. It made the Lua script installation much easier, much easier. The next thing that we're going to do is download the firmware for the receivers that I have. And that is done over here in Download Center. So I'm going to go over here and take a look and see what I need. So in this case, let's go ahead and download some receivers. I have some TD receivers. And honestly, any of these files will work. And the reason why is since this is such a big update, what they did was put all the TD receivers in one zip file. So in this particular case, you can go ahead and just download any of these. So let's go ahead and do the TD-SR10. And now I come down here to firmware, FW. That's what I want. This is the Lua script that you already downloaded with the Lua library. So you don't need that anymore. But over here, I want 3.0.1, and I'll go ahead and download it. So you can flash it directly to your receiver, but what I like to do, so that way I have a library of all my receivers in my transmitter, I'd like to download it and then place it into that folder. So I'm going to go over here to Documents, and I'm going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call this Receiver and Sensors 160 and select folder. It's downloading it. And it's there. I'm going to go ahead and open the folder now. Let's just make sure. And there it is. It's under Receivers and Sensors 160, and it's a zip file. So the next thing I need to do is I need to unzip it. And it's actually very simple, but I just do it this way. I go over here, go into the zip folder, click on the file. So notice there's no zipper on here because I'm inside that zip folder. And I'll just do a Control-C to copy it. Go back up over here to Receivers and Sensors, and I'll do a Control-V to put it down there. Now, the one with the zip I no longer need, and I'll just go ahead and delete that. So let's go ahead and open up this file. Let's take a look, and it put all the receivers in here. So, for example, 6 channel would be the TD SR6 and the TD R6, and there they are. Okay, so that one's done. Let's go back to the download center, and this time I want the TW series. Same thing. If I go over here to TW series, I can click on pretty much any one of these, but I'm going to go ahead and click on the TW SR8. Sure, why not? And I'm going to download that. So again, same thing. The LUA script you don't need. That's the same one that we already downloaded. And you just need a firmware file. So the latest one is 3.0.1, and I'll go ahead and download that. Put it into the same receivers and sensors 160 folder, and select folder. Let's open the folder, do the same thing. And so this one is the TW version. Let's click on that. Control copy, go up, and Control V, and I'll go ahead and delete the zip file. I don't need that anymore. Let's do one more. Let's go ahead and do Archer Plus. So the Archer Plus series is here under Access 2.4. So there's Archer Plus series. These are the latest 2.4 only receivers. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. So I'm going to click the same thing. So this one's a little bit different, but pretty much any of them. So let's pick one. Let's say the Archer Plus, that one, 3.01. So anything that's 3, you want to match the internal module with this one. So our internal module is a 3.01, and we are on 3.1 for the receivers. So I'm going to go ahead and select the folder and open the folder. And this one says AP for Archer Plus. And Control copy, go up, in here, Control V. And delete the zip file, don't need that anymore. And there it is. That's all the Archer Plus receivers. Okay. So we downloaded all the receivers. Let's go ahead and download a sensor so that we know how to do that as well. It's pretty much the same as one version of the receiver, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyways. Let's do a battery voltage sensor like the FLVS Advanced. And let's go ahead and download it. Open folder. Control copy. Go up. Control V. And I'll delete the 1.5. There it is, the zip file. So now I have Archer Plus receivers, TD receivers, TW receivers, and one sensor over there. So the next thing I want to do is I want to take all these files and put them into my transmitter. To update receivers and sensors, you use your radio to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and click over here. Actually, let's go ahead and go up one. And I'm just going to go ahead and take this entire folder, the receiver and sensors folder over here, Control copy. I'm going to go into my radio and go under firmware. If you don't have a firmware folder, go ahead and create one. Control V into the radio. So essentially what I am doing is I'm putting all my firmware files that I need into my radio, and I'll use my radio to update the firmware on all those devices. All right, it is now in my radio. So if you take a look, I have a folder here called firmware, and inside that folder, is receivers and sensors 160. So this tells me that it is for 1.60. And the RF module was 3, and my receivers are firmware version 3. So if you have any more, you can I'll put them all in here. And if you do have a newer one, you can create another folder for that as well. All right, so that is done. Next, we will go ahead and update this receiver. So this is a TD-SR10. I no longer need Ethos Suite, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of it. I'm going to go ahead and unplug the USB, but before I do that, it's always best practice to go ahead and eject the flash drives. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and unplug. All right, now it's time to update your receiver. And there are 2 methods to updating a receiver: over the air mode, or OTA mode, or a wired method. We're going to do the OTA mode first. Before you start the update process, make sure that your receiver has been registered to your radio. If it hasn't, go ahead and do that now. This particular receiver already has been. Now, if this is already hooked up to a plane, it's already been set up, then go to the model of that receiver. But if it hasn't, go into Model, RF, and ensure that you are in TD mode if it's a TD receiver, or TW mode if it's a twin receiver, or ACCST or whatever. But in this particular case, this is a TD receiver. I am in TD mode, and this receiver has already been registered to this radio. So I am good to go. So to start the update process, I'm going to go over here to System, go to File Manager, and go to that firmware folder that we had, and there's my receiver and sensors 160. I'm going to go into there. This is a TD receiver, so I'm going to go to the TD. And this is a TD-SR10, so let's go to 10 channel and TD-SR10. And that's the file that you want for this particular receiver. To start the update process, click Enter, and you have a couple of options over here. Flash RX by int, OTA means internal RF module. Since this is a TD receiver, this radio's got an internal module for TD. I'm going to click on that. Now it's waiting for receiver. Go ahead and power up your receiver. And there you go. Select device, TD-SR10. Again, if this receiver has not been registered to this radio, that will not pop up. Current version, so it tells you what the current version of that is. I'm going to click yes, and now it's going to flash. Success. Close it. The next thing that we're going to do is update this receiver again using the wired method. I would highly suggest downloading the manual for whatever receiver you have, because the wired process may be different. In this particular case, this is a TD-SR10, and you need to use this cable that came with your receiver to do the wired method. If you're going to do this method, you do not need external power. You will be powered by the radio. So I'm going to go ahead and hook this up. There it goes. Now, according to the manual, the yellow cable over here will be the signal cable. The red cable would be the power, and the black cable is the ground. So these are the cables I need, and I'll show you how to hook that up onto the transmitter. So first things first, make sure that you do not have power to your receiver if you're going to use the wired method. I'm just going to stress that again. Do not have another power source going into here because you're going to be powered from the transmitter. If you flip this up over here, you have a servo port. It looks like a servo connector over there. And you have one part that has an extra space on it. So right there. That is where the signal wire goes, and that's the yellow wire. Other receivers may have different colors, so make sure to look at the manual to find out what it is for your particular receiver to do this. And I'm going to go ahead and hook up yellow. Center pin is red, and the other pin is black. So we're already in that menu, but I'm going to return out of it, and I'll go back into it just so you know where it's at, just in case. I'm going to hit System, go over to File Manager, go to Firmware, Receivers and Sensors, which is what I created. And now I'm going to go down to TD. This one's a 10-channel receiver. This is a TD SR10. And I'm going to click on this. Now, instead of Flash RX by internal OTA, I'm going to go Flash External Device. And there it goes. All right, there it goes. Success. That receiver is now updated. Let's go ahead and disconnect the cables. So that's the wired method. And again, please look at the manual for whatever model receiver you have to find out what port that you need to do it. This is very particular to this TD-SR10. It may be different on other ones. All right, the next thing that we're going to update is a sensor. And this is the same process as updating a receiver with the wired method. But we're going to go ahead and go through the process anyways. So what I have here is a very old GPS sensor. This is my personal GPS sensor, and I've had it for quite a while. Not sure if there's an update, but we're going to go ahead and go through the process now with the new Ethos Suite. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Ethos Suite. And I'm going to go to the Download Center. And let's go to Sensors over here. And let's take a look at the GPS and remote ID. So this particular sensor is not an ADV or an advanced sensor. It's one of the older ones. So it's over here at GPS. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you have two options. You could flash or you could download. Now, if I want to, I can hook this up to the port over there and do a flash, but I prefer anytime that I do this, I download it first and put it into the radio. So the first thing I'm going to do is just going to download it. And now where? So I have a special folder in here under Documents, and Receivers and Sensors 160 is what I created, so that I know that this is the last time that I updated my radio, which was 1.60, that these are the stuff that I needed to download, like sensors and receivers and everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into this folder over here. Select folder, and it's downloaded. Let's open it up. There it is. It's 2020-11-13. So that's the date of this. So in other words, it hasn't had an update in a while, but that's fine. Let's just go ahead and go through the process. This is a zip folder. I'm going to need to create a new folder over here for this particular one. So let's go ahead and open this up. I'm going to click on here and do a control copy. Go back up and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it GPS 2020-11-13. Open up that folder, Control V. I'm going to delete that. I don't need the zip version anymore since I just created it over here. And now let's go ahead and take that and put it into the radio. So you'll need to hook up your USB cable to your computer and your radio. And there it goes. I'll choose Ethos Suite. And now your radio drive is what you want. This one has your audio, your bitmaps, your firmware, models, scripts. So I'm going to go over here to firmware and receivers and sensors. And I'll go back here and I'll take this folder over here, control copy, and put it into my radio, control V. There it goes. Okay, once that's done, let's go back out. I can unmount my radio. Go over here, eject, eject. So now we can update the GPS. So this is the cable that comes with your GPS sensor. And you have one that's yellow, another one that's red, and another one that's black. To hook it up to your transmitter, if you look over here, you have a little thing that protrudes out. That's the side that the yellow wire or the signal wire goes. So I'm going to hook that up to there. And on the sensor, you go ahead and hook it up to the proper polarity. And I know on a GPS sensor, the inboard one is where the signal wire goes, the yellow wire. Now I'm going to go to System, go to File Manager, Firmware, Receivers and Sensors 160, and I'll look for that GPS folder that I created. We'll go into there, and that is the firmware. So if I click on that, then it has a couple of options, and this is an external device. So flash external device. If I click on that, there it goes, device reset, and now it's flashing. And we have success. So that's it. We've updated a GPS sensor, we've updated receivers, the transmitters, we've put in LUA scripts into the radio. I think we are done. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at jose@FrSky-RC.com, or leave a comment in this video. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day.